The Big Bang Theory was invented by a Catholic priest.
State that nearly 14 billion years ago expansion started. Wait, the earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool, Neanderthals developed tools, we built a wall. We built the pyramids, math, science, history, unraveling the mystery that all started with a Big Bang.
ESA's last ATV, or Automated Transfer Vehicle ATV-5, is named after Georges Lemaitre, a Belgian priest and professor from the Université Catholique de Louvain, a man who left his mark on modern-day cosmology. In 1927, Lemaitre published his first great work, a homogeneous universe of constant mass and growing radius accounting for the radial velocity of extragalactic nebulae, in which he explained the theory that today is known as Hubble's law.
Lemaitre explained Hubble's law, saying that in fact galaxies are not moving in the universe, but the universe is growing, and in fact the distances between the galaxies are growing with this growth of the universe.
With this proposition, Lemaitre went against the notion at the time that the universe was static and that galaxies were moving inside it, as stated by his friend and colleague Albert Einstein. In 1931, Lemaitre proposed another revolutionary theory, the so-called primeval atom hypothesis.
This hypothesis is the following. If the universe is expanding, when you see the behavior in the past, then the universe is contracting. And then Lemaitre think about a state, an initial state, where all the matter and energy of the universe is condensed in one quantum. And this quantum was called the primeval atom hypothesis. And Lemaitre believed that this quantum was the origin of all the matter of the universe.
Lemaitre's opponents dismissed the idea and called it mockingly the Big Bang. But Lemaitre thought this event could be proven by research of cosmic radiation. Of course, one part of the rays could have escaped this process of condensation. And there we have perhaps a different element, maybe in the theory of the primeval atom, that a part of these rays have escaped, hardly containing any hydrogen, and that one might find these rays inside the cosmic radiation. History proved Lemaitre right. Though he was wrong about their nature, these leftovers of the Big Bang are omnipresent in the galaxies, a phenomenon known as CMB, or cosmic background radiation. These contributions made Lemaitre a true pioneer of modern cosmology.
We can say that originality, the first originality of Lemaitre was to introduce history, the history of the universe.
Now Georges Lemaitre will be remembered in history once again. The history of the universe which he gave us, but also in the history of ESA, as ATV-5 marks the final chapter in the ATV saga.
Needing to contrive an origin for our accidental existence that contradicts the Bible, Jesuit-trained Belgian priest Georges Lemaitre is the father of the so-called Big Bang theory, the idea that first there was nothing and then it exploded. He was a close co-worker of just such a Jewish puppet, Albert Einstein. Einstein bolstered the Jesuit cosmology with his convoluted theory of relativity. The problem was that observations of both scientists and laymen weren't matching what so-called astronomers were telling us. And so Einstein fabricated the theory of relativity to claim that your reality was relative to the time-space continuum. It is purposefully almost impossible to understand. You're just supposed to trust science and astronomy. The Jesuits then jumped on with dinosaurs and Charles Darwin to claim the Earth is billions of years old. And wherever Darwin's theory of evolution had holes, Jesuits stepped up to fill the gap. Jesuits like Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, the father of the New Age. After fabricating the ape-like pre-humans that we supposedly came from, even students of evolution became concerned that there was a, quote, missing link between primitive apes and modern humans. A discovery was made in 1912 to bridge that gap. Having been found in Piltdown, East Sussex, England, it was named Piltdown Man. Unfortunately, it was also found to be a hoax. The skull of a small human with the altered mandible and teeth of an orangutan. Sometime later, paleontologist Stephen Jay Gould uncovered the father of that hoax, a Jesuit priest named Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. There are many such examples in archaeology and paleontology, and yet no one asks, why would so-called scientists be fabricating evidence? The goal was to discredit the Bible, and it has been resoundingly successful. Without the spinning ball Earth, Darwinian dinosaur cosmic accident, the Bible is a science textbook. With it, critics laugh and question the Bible, and instead look to human authorities to save their souls, such as the Vicar of Christ himself, who is for the first time in Roman Catholic history a Jesuit priest.
There was a lot of science from the time of Galileo up into the end of the 19th century, and nobody ever thought anything about that would be unusual. If you look into the science books of the 18th century, who are the people doing science? What does it take to be able to be a scientist? You have to have an education. You've got to have an interest in doing it. You've got to have the free time to do it. There was either noblemen, medical doctors, or clergymen. And in fact, most of science is just keeping records. And what do you call keeping records? It's clerical work, right? Why is it called clerical work? Because originally it was done by clerics. When you're a parish priest, you know how to keep records. And keeping records is 50% of doing science. This is what, and so science was done by the clergy. And so science was done by the clergy.
I'm a theoretical physicist, and I like to say that I walk in the footsteps of giants like Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr. I'm not a philosopher. However, I am rather dazzled by the fact that many of the basic mysteries that we find in string theory and the theory of everything seem to be mirrored in the Zohar and in the Kabbalah.
As a scholar, the most amazing thing of all is the degree to which modern astrophysics sounds like a Kabbalistic text.
When I first made the correlations between Kabbalah and science, I was stunned.
We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts, certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
I couldn't believe that the Kabbalists could derive these truths without really knowing any mathematics or physics.
It is certainly true that in string theory, the number 10 is the dimension of space-time for supersymmetrical string theories, and 26 for bosonic string theories stand out as a requirement of the mathematics.
All the things that could destroy string theory, all the things that do destroy every rival theory to string theory, they are all eliminated in precisely 10 and 26 dimensions. These dimensions are magic. We physicists don't know where these dimensions come from.
The Zohar says those things. It could have been a lucky guess. I don't know.
They knew things about the universe that took us till now to discover.
It's rather amazing, this uncanny reflection of some of the most advanced cosmology coming from our satellites, coming from our atom smashers, coming from our blackboards, that are mirrored in the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts.
Is it not a crazy thing to ponder? This idea that practically every single one of us has grown up being taught, being indoctrinated with what is really Babylonian mysticism, which is really what Kabbalah is. Only none of us had any idea because we were all told it was science.
The Holy Bible, the King James Version, the first book of Moses, called Genesis, chapter 1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good.